If you'd like to subscribe to our podcast, get streaming versions of this and all previous episodes of Relevant Tones, or for a playlist of the music on this show, visit us online at relevanttones.com. And I want to welcome now our esteemed guest, Philip Glass, to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think the first thing I want to say, Philip, is from myself, from our audience, our listeners, happy birthday. And thank you for coming. It's really exciting to have you here.
Pleased to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's just talk briefly about the Etudes. Why? I know you're a pianist yourself, of course, we heard you talking with Jenny in the video before about the Etudes, and now about hearing a lot of other people write them and play them. I mean, are you going to stop at 20? I mean, do you feel like you're constantly...
Well, I'm writing other piano music, but no more Etudes.
No more Etudes, okay.
No, I said I would do 20, and that's what I did.
Okay. Why that barrier, do you think?
I don't know. I guess because some of the exercises that you practice are in groups of 20.
Okay.
And so I said, well, I'll just do 20 more.
Like the hand-in exercises?
Yeah. No, they were the... I don't actually remember which.
Or the churney, or I don't.
Churney, yeah.
I remember hand-in. I always had to practice hand-in, and they were in 3 groups of 20.
Yeah, they're kind of unnerving. I decided that. Well, I was trying to get my playing up to a better level. So, but they were so boring to practice. So I decided to write some pieces that I could learn, and by learning, and so the first 10 are all about piano technique in a certain way. The second 10 are about more about the content of the music than the technique of the music. Okay,
but even in the first 10, there's a clear musicality. I mean, you're clearly...
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, but there are some Etudes out there, even some of the Chopin Etudes, not all of them, but even some of them are not always the best to listen to.
Well, the practicing is really boring. you probably know that.
I do know, as a haphazard pianist, I know.
But if you, by writing pieces that I couldn't quite play, and learning to play them, my playing actually did get better.
And how many times have you performed all of the 20 Etudes at this point? I mean, numerous, right?
I never do all 20. I've actually only learned 12 of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know about the last 8. You'll hear her. She plays them very well.
For people like Jenny Lin who can...
But
really is always
the thing is that it would take me so many hours to learn them, and maybe I'm better off writing music. So I know enough of them so I can play in concerts and so forth. But the most interesting ones are the hardest ones for me.
Absolutely. But being a pianist is really, I think, key to your development as a composer. Am I wrong? I mean, how important do you think the Philip Glass Ensemble was for you?
Well, it was a way of playing the music. I mean, I never, I produced the first 10 years of concerts myself. I wasn't interested in sending music out and people saying they weren't going to play it. I never even gave anyone a chance to say no. Mm-hmm. I just made up the concerts myself. So playing the piano was, by that time, I had been through music school pretty well. So I was playing fairly well.
Uh-huh. What was it, other than, I mean, because I think you're a very talented composer. You could have gone the traditional route. I mean, one of the things I really admire about you, not only musically, but also just you're a bit of a maverick as a composer. I mean, you went this other route and made it work for yourself. And, were you thinking that from the very beginning, that I'm not going to go the academic route, or how did that
Well, I was
transpire?
never going to be a music teacher, no.
Yeah. Yeah, which is so much a part of that.
Well, I had 2 very great teachers, but I had a lot of mediocre teachers, too. Uh-huh. So, and it's kind of painful. And I didn't think I would be a talented teacher. Teaching is a real vocation, and if you're really good at it, it's a wonderful thing. But if you're not particularly good at it, it's probably better not to do it.
Well, I agree with that, and like having children, and it's and it's also to all the bad parents out there, and I think it's also, if you're a good teacher, you give of yourself, and it's very difficult then to be a composer after that because you've just given away.
I've never
yourself.
tried it actually.
Let's talk. You don't like the term minimalism. You prefer.
Well, no, actually, I'm getting used to it actually now.
Okay.
Well, what's happening is that it's 30 or 40 years since I've written really minimalist music, but a lot of other people are playing the early music now, and I've been listening to it, and I'm starting to like it a lot. So actually, we're going back and playing with the ensemble. We're playing a lot of the early pieces.
Okay.
In fact, we're going to be playing music with changing parts at Carnegie Hall in
That's
February.
fantastic.
And that's a piece from 1970.
That's
So
great.
that's a piece that's almost 50 years old.
Wow, that's great.
That's a real minimalist piece, too.
What were your early influences? What were you listening to 50 years ago that made its way into your music?
Well, 50 years ago, I was writing those pieces. That was when I was in my 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And things happened very quickly. I began, also was working with, in the theater with Mabu Mines and then with Bob Wilson. So I began writing theater music at the same time. And the theater music and the concert music were quite different for a while. Then after a while, they sound a little more like each other after a while.
Yeah, so do you have a different approach? You're writing a film score or a theater piece and then a concert piece?
I try to write the commercial music very, very fast.
That makes sense.
Well, yeah.
Go into the
No,
zone.
I did, that's how I made in the early days, I made a living by writing commercial music, and that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a good technique, it's easy to do. But I just didn't, I would never spend more than 2 hours on a piece.
But then if you go from writing commercial music and you're going to now write a concert piece where you say, okay, this is a Philip Glass piece, this is a work of art.
You think I would get confused?
No, not confused.
I don't think so. Look, let's hear her play. I'm tired of talking to you.
All right. We're going to hear
Okay.
Jenny play. Okay, thank you very much. Next up is Etude 6